Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today's the 17th of December 2020. Alright guys, it has been a very exciting last 24 hours. As I'm sure you're all aware, BTC is back over $20,000 for the first time in 3 years. Ether is also running up, currently over $650, which is quite crazy. There's a lot of kind of news coming out about how traditional kind of, money is coming into the space now through Bitcoin and through Ethereum, through Ether. It's been crazy. I'm sure, everyone's seen all the craziness on Twitter and on Reddit and things like that. It feels good, right? It feels really good. It feels like a really nice Christmas present. But I guess enough on the price. What I did want to talk about was a few of these announcements, I guess, got to do with the prices and why the prices are kind of continuing to rally here. So there's a billionaire hedge fund that came out, hedge fund manager called Alan Howard that came out today and said that he's backing a little known fund that's buying Bitcoin and Ether. Now, we've been seeing over the last few days or few months even, all these kind of traditional finance funds and institutions, things like that, they're mainly, buying BTC, right? They're getting exposure to it in one way or another. But lately, we've been seeing ETH be included in that bucket. So BTC and ETH are really the only two that kind of fall into that bucket. They're the only two that this big money is going to invest in, is going to even look at, right? Because they're the two blue chips of crypto, quote unquote blue chips. And on top of that, they're the kind of most liquid assets. They're the only ones that they can get into with any size and with confidence as well. So I thought that was very interesting that, this fund in particular is going to be buying Ether as well as BTC. And I think, I've said it before on the Daily Gwei Refuel and a few other times that, outside of crypto, it's all about Bitcoin, right? It's Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that. Bitcoin's always in the news. Then when you even just set foot in crypto, you start hearing about Ethereum, right? You start hearing about DeFi. You start hearing about ETH and why it's valuable, how you can stake it, all these sorts of things. And especially you're exposed to ETH pretty much immediately because, if you're using Ethereum, you have to pay gas fees. So you're immediately exposed to ETH. And then from there, you kind of fall down the rabbit hole as well. I guess depending on how far you want to fall. But yeah, so it's quite bullish to see this news. I'm really glad to see this. Just thinking back to a couple of years ago when we were in the depths of the bear market, especially during 2019, if you had told anyone that traditional money, big traditional money, would be buying into ETH as a financial asset, people would have laughed at you. Even the most bullish of ETH bulls would have said, I don't think so. Maybe that's too early because, we're only a year out from 2019, right? And the kind of ETH has kind of changed completely. In 2019, it was just like the perma ETH bulls that were really into it. There was a small community of us who were really into it. We were saying, yes, ETH's, whatever it is now, it spent a lot of time in the hundreds and 200s, but we know that ETH is eventually going to correct up because it's got all these things coming for it. And 2020 has really been that year in terms of price, not even just price, right? Development, DeFi obviously exploded and things like that. I'm going to go into that a bit later in the episode about the growth of Ethereum, especially over the last 3 years. But yeah, it's funny how fast sentiment changes in this space, right? It's funny how fast things can come to be viewed as viewed in a different way. Even just a year ago. But I guess a year in the crypto space is 50 years in real life, right? The industry pretty much reinvented itself in a year. So yeah, really cool to see that. And on that note, CME Group, a really big futures kind of exchange that listed BTC futures back in December 2017. They announced that they're going to be launching an Ether futures product in February of 2021. Now, this has been expected for quite a while. There's been this meme that it was coming in weeks and not months, Ether futures product, and this was because Joe Lubin said this quite a while ago. So it's obviously been in the works for a while, but last night, or I guess earlier today, for most of you, the CME group kind of came out and said, yeah, we're launching this product, which kind of came out of nowhere. And it came out literally as BTC, I think, hit 20K. This kind of news came out there, and then ETH just raged up on the news. But it's just, it's crazy. CME group is huge. They've been a massive player in the in the Bitcoin trading space, especially during this year. This is like a main avenue for big money to get in to kind of these products. So obviously they see that there's demand for these products and they want to support them in their exchange. So yeah, really, really bullish news just all around. And I mean, it certainly does feel like we're heading into another 2017 like bull market. That's both exciting and scary, right? You know, I always feel like, I didn't make the most of the bear market, right? Because it's going to get a lot noisy. I was around in 2017. It's funny because in 2017 it was all Reddit. It wasn't really Twitter. There was Twitter, but it wasn't really a big thing as it is now. And I'm already seeing the craziness and the noisiness. So I think that we're going to be seeing a lot more noise. So yeah, it's always good to kind of be prepared for it and to make sure that you realize there's going to be more noise and you need to like kind of follow the signal. Obviously, I consider myself one of those signals, so I'm always going to be feeding you guys really relevant information. I'm not going to just be shilling like charts and things like that all day, and I'm not going to be talking about like all these random coins and things. But this is Bankless, the Defiant, DeFi Dad. There's so many kind of Ethereum media orgs now that are always signal, very high signal ratio to noise. So definitely, keep up with them, keep tabs on them if you want to stay, with it, I guess, and not get lost in all the noise that's about to come. That's just a fair warning on that one. All right, some news out of Loopring and DeversiFi today. So they basically announced that they're launching a layer 2 committee called L2 to the power of 2, or L2 squared. So basically, Loopring and DeversiFi both have layer 2 based ZK rollup decentralized exchanges. I've spoken about it in the past. You're probably well aware of it, I think. If you're in Ethereum, these are, I guess, the leading kind of layer 2 decentralized exchanges based on order books. So Loopring also has their AMM layer 2 DEX as well, so like a Uniswap-like decentralized exchange, but their main product has been that order book exchange, and same for DeversiFi. So they've teamed up to kind of launch this committee, and they basically they performed a token swap between the two teams as well. So each team now holds each other's token, and basically the purpose of this committee is to basically, I guess, like push forward layer 2 scaling when it comes to decentralized exchanges and things like that. They go through on the blog post here. There's going to be challenges from of a transition to layer 2 from Ethereum layer 1, of course. They talk about how Vitalik's roll-up centric Ethereum roadmap stresses the importance of layer 2, and it's going to be like an ecosystem-wide effort, right, to get all this done. So if you want to read the full post, I'll definitely link it in the show notes. But really good to see this. I hope that we see more teams kind of join this and work together. Layer 2 is still going to be very relevant going forward, especially as the market heats up. The gas prices are just going to get really, ridiculous again. I mean, looking at it here, you can see on my screen, if we just open this, at time of recording, the rapid price is 233 Gwei, and then 177 for fast, and then, even 100 for standard, which is not cheap. It's still cheap to send ETH around, but doing, smart contract interactions, things like that is not cheap, and it's going to basically mean that we need to adopt layer 2 ASAP to kind of like handle all the coming load of people that are coming into the ecosystem and want to use these products. So great to see this out of Loopring and DeversiFi here. Very, very keen to see where this goes. In other layer 2 news, the Optimism team is basically saying that the final phase of their optimistic Ethereum testnet is in motion. So basically, you can follow their step-by-step guide to prove fraud if you find any within their layer 2 system and win a reward for contributing to the security of their layer 2 system. So I guess this is like an open kind of, bug bounty for their layer 2 system to test their fraud proof technology. They have all the instructions here. This is definitely not something for people who aren't very technical. This is quite a technical thing. You have to do things like install Docker, use GitHub, pull things down from GitHub, use things called verifiers to kind of like submit the fraud proofs and things like that, running a node. So if you don't know what any of those things mean, it's probably not for you unless you want to learn what they mean. And I encourage you to learn. It's always good to learn a new thing and to kind of learn how to spin these things up. There's a step-by-step guide here. It doesn't seem that detailed, so I think it might be a bit hands off here. But I'm sure that if you join their Discord channel, you'll be able to ask questions. But basically, yeah, this is really cool. I mean, final phase of their testnet, which means maybe this is like a teaser, right? Now, for those who don't know, Uniswap is working very closely with Optimism to explore potential kind of Uniswap on layer 2 solutions. So if they're in their final phase of the Ethereum testnet for optimistic rollups or their technology or whatever, could Uniswap v3 be coming out sooner rather than later? Maybe in Q1 2021, right? I think it will. I think January, February, or March, we will see a Uniswap v3. I think we'll see some sort of Uniswap layer 2 coming to market as well. It's going to be big. I think 2021 is going to be big in general. It's just, we're almost there. Like, we're 13 days, 14 days away, so 2 weeks away from the end of the year, from end of 2020, which has been a very interesting year, I guess, inside and outside of crypto. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if my predictions are right here and we get a Uniswap v3 in Q1. I have pretty high confidence in that, not because I have any special knowledge, but just because it kind of fits into what I've heard from public sources, what I've seen, what I've been reading, kind of connecting the dots as I've done here with this sort of thing, with these sorts of things. So yeah, looking forward to seeing if that plays out. So another app went live on mainnet today called Perpetual Protocol. So basically you can now trade ETH and BTC perpetual contracts with up to 12 times leverage on chain at perp.exchange. There is no gas fee during your trades for doing this. So basically if I load up the site here, it kind of gives you the description what it is. So Perpetual Protocol is a decentralized perpetual contract protocol with virtual automated market makers to provide guaranteed liquidity. So, basically we can start trading here. I'm not going to connect my wallet or anything, but you can see it on screen. It's a very familiar looking kind of exchange, right? For anyone who's used kind of an order book exchange before. And for those who aren't familiar with what a perpetual product is, it's basically a product that can be traded in perpetuity, basically on leverage. So sometimes when you open like a position and you have a contract in normal, non-perpetual products, there is a time limit on it. So you might say, okay, I'm going to have this contract for a month, and in a month it's going to expire. Whereas perpetual products never expire. They're continuous. You can have a position open for as long as you want, whether that's a short or long position. And this is one thing that hasn't actually come to Ethereum in a big way yet. It is a very, very popular product in the centralized exchange space. Everyone knows about BitMEX, right? Deribit. There's a bunch of other exchanges that offer these products, but now we're getting them on Ethereum and within DeFi, which I think is about time. I mean, if you think about it, right, these products are so popular. It's weird that it's taken so long to come on chain, but I think there's a few issues to work out, right? Like implementation issues, scaling issues, all those sorts of things. I'm sure there's like a bunch of other things in there, like oracles and things like that. But great to see Perpetual Protocol bring this to mainnet today. I am looking forward to seeing how fast this grows. There's, of course, other projects like McDex or MCDex. I think it's how you say it. There's other perpetual protocols like DYDX that have been around for a while. But I guess, I wouldn't say they have failed to gain traction, but they're nowhere near as big as their centralized counterparts, right? Because Uniswap obviously is challenging its centralized counterparts, whereas these perpetual protocol, not just Perpetual Protocol, but these other ones haven't really done that yet. And I think that might be because of scaling, because AMMs don't require as much scaling as Perpetual Protocol would or Perpetual products do. So I'm curious as to how they're actually offering no gas fee on trades here. I haven't actually read into that. But I'm sure there's some reason for it. But yeah, I haven't read into that, so I should look into that kind of after I'm finished recording here. But yeah, so that's cool to see as well. So interesting to see how fast this grows. I think if there is no gas fees, I think this can grow quite quickly. So curious to see how it plays out. All right, a new product on UMA today. So basically, the You My Chikafilla team launched Mario.cash. So on this website, traders can mint synthetic Bitcoin Cash, and then they can basically go long or short Bitcoin Cash on Balancer by doing this. And this kind of synthetic Bitcoin Cash or Mario Cash is collateralized with actual BTC in the form of Ren BTC. So that's Ren kind of networks decentralized tokenized BTC. So basically, if we go here on the Mario, there's noise. I better mute that. Mute site. Okay. So basically, yeah, you can see here, you can basically unlock your wallet, you mint some Mario Cash here, and then you can go trade it on Balancer. So really cool product. I think Uma has been making a lot more moves lately. They recently partnered up with Yam as well that I spoke about the other day. It's great to see these kind of like synthetic asset protocols getting more use. I think we need more of this. Synthetic assets or synthetic trading is huge within both centralized trading and the kind of traditional financial system trading as well. So really excited to see this and see where it goes. All right, announcement that may have flew under the radar today, but I actually wanted to put a bit of light on here was that American Express has invested in a crypto trading startup called FalconX. Now, what FalconX does is it basically, I think it's acting as like a bridge between the crypto world and the traditional finance world. And I always, I've spoken about these before, but I always like monitoring these products because I really do think that if we want to have this kind of quote unquote mass adoption and we do really want to have this money coming in, right, we need to bridge in the traditional finance space. And to do that, we need players that are familiar with that space to build these products and to invest in these products. And that's exactly what American Express is, right? Amex is known all around the world. They have like a very big institution, very big company, very big kind of footprint worldwide. They have a lot of experience within this space. So I think that they are definitely going to be playing a part here in moving this along. Obviously, we already have PayPal joining the fray as well. There's other companies joining from the traditional finance space. I mean, Square is famous for offering, their Bitcoin product and getting a lot of volume through that. We just need more and more of that. We need to cover all our bases here. We need to make it as dead simple as possible. We have TD Arbitrade. We have other kind of things out there. We need to make it as simple as possible for people to get access to this asset class. And, particularly ideally in a tax advantaged way as well, right? We already saw Grayscale's products getting, really lots of volume flowing through, and they're very popular because they're tax advantaged. So I think I am going to be keeping an eye on what happens with this, and any more of these announcements coming out, as I think they're quite important. All right, another mainnet another project hit mainnet today. AlphaX from Alpha Finance. So this is another perpetual swap market, basically, and it was, as I said, launched today. Alpha Finance has this product called Alpha Homora, which basically has all these products inside that they've been doing like leveraged yield farming and things like that. And been getting a lot of attention lately. But basically, as I said, what this is it's a perpetual protocol, perpetual kind of product. You can see here that there's an early access form, and they've got screenshots and things like that. So I guess it's not really like an open launch or anything. It's just like them detailing what this is. So as you can see on screen, here's a screenshot of the nice little UI they have here. Similar to Perpetual Protocol in that it's simple. There's a chart. There's a place to buy and sell, or to long and short, and things like that. And then, they go through, I guess, like who they're targeting, what their unique features are, and things like that. So apparently there's no funding rate kind of payments within this. And if you traded perpetual products before, you know what funding rates are. I won't go into it now. It's more of a trader thing. There's like advantages of having their long and short tokens comply with the ERC 115 standard, which wraps into ERC20 tokens. So there's a bunch of things going on here, and a bunch of things that Alpha Finance is innovating on here with AlphaX, which is really, really cool to see. But I mean, I just went through all the advantages of perpetual products and why I think they're going to be huge. So it's good to see another team getting into this space. All right, last thing to talk about was a tweet that I put out last night that I actually wrote about in the Daily Gwei newsletter as well, but I did want to talk about it for those who missed that. So this table here, and for those listening, you won't be able to see the table, but basically this table here compares ETH when it first hit $500 on November 29th, 2017 to today, right? So, ETH hit $500 for the first time since 2018, about a month ago. And I wanted to compare various metrics between when it first hit $500 and today, just to show that when we first hit 500, like, I actually think that ETH at that time was extremely overvalued. It wasn't like, we especially at 1400, like we didn't have ETH2, we didn't have any of the usage we have today, we didn't have any of DeFi, we didn't have any of that stuff. So you can see that in the chart here, sorry, the table here. If you look at the locked in DeFi row, we were only at 10 million in November 2017, and I couldn't even tell you where that 10 million was or what it was locked in, because we didn't even have Maker until December 2017. So I pulled that from DeFi Pulse, so I should go back and look at what protocol that was falling under. Maybe it was like Augur or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe one of the earlier protocols, but yeah, not totally sure there. But basically, that grew to $15 billion today, which is a 150,000% increase. So we've had a massive increase in DeFi usage, right? DeFi pretty much became a thing during the last two and a half, 3 years, since we last had kind of $500 in November of 2017. Other things like 24-hour transaction count was 565,000, and now it's 1,050,000. And you got to remember that November 2017 was at the tail end of the retail mania, right? There was a lot more activity in terms of, if we were to compare it to like the start of 2017, it would be like nothing, right? And we're not even in the tail end of a retail mania in terms of like a bull market yet. So it's always funny to see that we've actually doubled and we're still in a kind of like early stage bull market. The next thing here, like average fees over the last 24 hours. So even, as I said, we were at the tail end of a retail bull market, and we only had $166,000 of average 24-hour fees on that day, whereas yesterday we had $2.6 million, a 1,470% increase from that date. And this is because of DeFi, right? This is because of stablecoins. As you can see, the stablecoin growth at the bottom went from basically $0 to $17 billion. This is because it costs more to do the more complex transactions on Ethereum. So I think that to me is the, I guess, most obvious kind of growth metric that I look at is how much fees is being generated, how much demand, how valuable is the network to transact on. If people are willing to spend all these kind of fees every day, millions of dollars of fees every day, then they're obviously doing valuable things on the network that are worth more to them than the fees. And we saw this play out with yield farming, right? Even if you had to spend $200 to get into a yield farm, depending on how much capital you put in, you could have made that back in like a day, right? Depending on what yield farm you went to. So it was always worth it. And the more capital you had, obviously, the more worth it was for you. And then finally, I guess I won't go through every metric, but I added locked in ETH2 staking here. So it was 1.5 million ETH. It was 0 in 2017, obviously. And it's $860 million worth, probably more now. This was done at an earlier price. But it's funny because if I was to compare to just like a month ago or like a month and a half ago before the deposit contract launched, this would be 0. So we basically went from 0 to almost $1 billion of ETH in ETH2 within 6 weeks or whatever it is. Which is totally insane. But I threw that in there because it was just fun to see that in 2017, everyone was just like, oh, ETH2's coming. We can expect ETH2 now, ETH2 soon. And it took, until now to get there. But now that we're there, it's just so bullish. We've locked 1.5 million ETH in there for a couple of years now. It's securing the network, we're testing it with almost $1 billion worth of live value. So this stuff is just insane. All these metrics are insane, right? You can see them yourselves here on the video. And if you've listened in on the podcast, just go check out the link to the tweet, which I'll include in the show notes, and you'll be able to see. But yeah, I really like doing these comparisons because it really puts into perspective the kind of growth that we've seen over the last 2-3 years for Ethereum. All right, I think that's it for today, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you're having as much fun as I am watching, the prices go up, of course, and, participating in all the mania that's going on Twitter and things like that. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.